If we've been in your dreams, please holler. That would be really funny. Or maybe
it's probably a nightmare.
I know. I was like, or maybe
they
it
won't
wouldn't be
stop
funny.
talking.
Yeah, I know. No shit. Yeah.
They will not stay on topic.
Yeah. I was just getting more and more frustrated the more the dream went on. Like, oh my gosh.
Hi, I'm Emma.
And I'm Lisa.
And this is There Are No Tangents.
Feels like I seen this all in a dream. What's the purpose of a human being? Never mind me. I'm just lost in my thoughts. What's the topic? Ain't no topic. Keep it going, no stopping. Don't get the picture, then we grab it. With no emotion, what's the line? We just lost in our thoughts. Not on the surface, beyond that. Pull back the curtains, I'm on that. Once we take it there, ain't no going back. Don't be losing the topic, man. We gotta stay on track. Yeah, you so crazy, yeah, I know it. Tell me a story, like a poet. Yeah, like a poet. We getting lost in our thoughts. Welcome to the show. Emma and Lisa, they already on the roll. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi. I immediately just reached for my water. You make me thirsty, Emma.
You're already starting off with a bang. I love it.
I'd like to. Just kidding.
And we're done. All right. Let's wrap
All
this
right.
up and turn off the recording. That was awesome.
We have completed our performance. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi.
We love to go to completion. You know how that goes. Yeah. Yeah. I'm hanging in.
Yeah.
Sister, hanging in there.
It's Thursday. Is it another lovely day there?
Oh yeah. This week's been I've been really thankful for the weather this week. Because while it might be a little dark and stormy on the inside, it has been beautiful here. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So
yeah, and I'm just looking out at the
is it pretty there?
Pretty blue sky. Yeah, it's going to be warm again here today too. So I am grateful for that. And you know what? I have yet to be on a real walk since we have moved. I mean, we've gone for like a hike, and the boys and I did a very short walk one day, but I have not gotten out for a walk yet because I've either been unpacking or like doing stuff or been sick or, so whenever we've had nice weather. So maybe today.
That's a big deal for you. With as much as you typically walk. So yeah. Oh, I've been on a lot of walks, a lot of long walks. Like yesterday, my legs got sore. I'll still probably go on another one today. If I have time, which I may not, because I've got more things to work things and whatnot, but yeah. So,
you know this, but our listeners do not know how our mornings started off very much in tandem today.
Yes, they did.
Which was like really funny. So I'll just tell this story. So I woke up this morning, and you know how you wake up, but you don't necessarily open your eyes. Like you just become conscious and you're just kind of lying there. And I immediately thought, I don't remember any of my dreams from last night, which is not necessarily atypical, but I had like a whole, stream of consciousness. So it was like, I don't remember my dreams from last night. I'm not surprised. We've eaten dinner late the last 2 or 3 nights. And, typically when that happens, I don't remember my dreams because, the whole, like your body's digesting, like all the stuff. Right. And then I thought, but I've had these, I think, lucid dreams lately. And I was thinking there have been 3. 2, I don't remember what they were about, but 1, I can't remember the whole thing, but it was about snakes. And I believe in the dream.
I was thinking of
scary. What?
I was thinking of a snake dream. I told you about that.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Different kind of snake dream, I think.
Yeah,
okay,
I
go
forgot
ahead.
about that. I forgot about that.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't wake up the same from my snake dream that you did. But that was kind of the thing. So like, I think in the dream, I was frightened because I think they were like hiding, and Scott was there, and we moved something and the snakes were there, but I think the snakes were present in more than just like this one particular part of the dream. But the reason that I thought it was a lucid dream is because I did realize that I was dreaming when I was in the dream, right?
Yeah.
But also I didn't actually wake up. Like, you know how you'll wake up from a dream,
Right. Yeah.
and I didn't wake up from the dream. I woke up later and remembered, and it was very vivid, right? Anyway, I was just kind of thinking about all of this stuff, right? when I woke up this morning, and I woke up at like 5:20, and I was thinking about this stuff. I was like, oh, I guess I'll go ahead and wake up. So I grabbed my phone and I saw that I had a text from you, and it was about a lucid dream.
It sure was. I know.
So you were literally like texting me as I was thinking about lucid dreams. It was like the same time. It was so funny. And so, anyway, if you want to share about your dream, you're welcome to.
Well, it's funny because I almost want to go back and read what I said, because now it's like doing that thing where I'm like, what was the setting and what were the components? And well, I guess it's more of a question. And I don't know if you want to speak to this and we want to get into this, or if it's just like, oh, this was a funny synchronicity and we'll move on to some other topic, because we've thought of so much we could talk about today. But I guess just what my question was that a lucid dream? Like, it felt different because to your point, like, it was like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, it felt so real, but I was like, I don't think this is real. But then when I actually like was fully conscious and awake, I was like, but that did happen, right? Like, I thought it did happen. So then I'm like, well, maybe it wasn't a lucid dream. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I kind of confused myself, which I can do from time to time if I don't fully understand a concept.
Right.
But it was a different type of feeling to the dream. So then I was like, or was it just a daydream, like a deep daydream or something like that? But why would the setting have been what it was? Like, anyway, it was just really interesting, and it involved you and another friend, and just like, I think this happened, right? I don't know. But it like could have happened. It wasn't like something that totally couldn't have happened.
Yeah, because some dreams are so crazy. It's like they could never. But I had a dream one time about like being in the grocery store and Dan Levy was there, and we're going to the same wedding, or it was like something crazy. You know what I mean? Like, that's one that I remember, because I was like, that would have been awesome if it happened in real life. But it's so, some dreams are so far, or like the components are just so weird and unrealistic or whatever. But yeah, some dreams it's like that could really happen. That's not.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know. I mean, do you want to share anything that you know about lucid dreams, or do we want to put a pin in that and like do more research? And
but more research is definitely required, but I do know that the basic like Google definition of a lucid dream is when you're in the dream, you know that it's a dream. So it's like you're fully immersed in that dream world, but you also are consciously it's like a weird consciousness while you're sleeping, kind of.
Right.
And it's like you know that it's a dream as it's happening. And I believe allegedly you could also theoretically control the dream.
Oh, that's cool.
But I don't know, like, if that requires, again, like a definitely like a higher level of consciousness of what's happening to actually control it. I'm not sure if I've ever had that experience. Have I ever told you about this dream? This is okay. So probably 3 years ago, I was very interested in dreams because I had realized I have not remembered any of my dreams for like a long time. And tying into what I was thinking this morning, I realized, like, gosh, we're eating dinner late and we are going to bed pretty soon after eating dinner. And, I have read that peppermint tea can help with digestion. And so, like, I had started drinking
Yeah.
peppermint tea before bed. And I don't know if it was just like a placebo effect, basically. I don't know. But after that, I started remembering my dreams more.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had, more than one, but this particular one dream that led me to be interested in lucid dreaming was about you, or you were in it. And I can still vividly remember something was happening. I think it was tied to MOPS, which was this moms group that we were in. And that's how we met, as we have discussed on this podcast. But I can remember it was like an event, maybe like a MOPS event or something like that. And it was supposed to be at your house.
Okay.
Or it was at your house, but it's not your house in real life. It was more like maybe one of the like Victorian houses downtown in Danville, where I used to live, where you live, or something like that. It was like an old, like historic kind of house, but it reminded me of a funeral home inside.
Mm.
And I remember all these women being there, and it was very interesting. And I can still vividly, but without the ability to articulate the details, I can just remember that. And I remember it being really powerful because of the fact that while I was dreaming, I knew that I was dreaming, but it felt so real.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I knew the term lucid dreaming before that. I think I did some research to understand what that experience was. And that's how I learned about lucid dreaming and became more interested in dreams after that. But, as I do, I kind of moved on to other things. So I'm by no means an expert. I don't know if there are more clinical definitions of what lucid dreaming is. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, maybe that's something we can continue to explore and look into a little bit more. Cause, I was telling you, I was listening to a little bit of this podcast with this person who researches like lucid dreaming and is a professor. And I didn't get very far into it, but it was mentioned. He mentioned something like, there are ideas of what people think lucid dreaming is. And then there's like what it really is and what the science says. And so I didn't even get into all of that, or like I guess they were going to discuss myths and things. So anyway, maybe we could I don't know, if we keep probing around.
We could share that podcast with me. We could put it in the show notes too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's a good one. I just randomly stumbled upon it. And
because that makes me curious if you just Google lucid dreaming, if those definitions don't match up with what this researcher says. I would be very curious about that. But because that was all on my mind this morning, after we had kind of exchanged, because we love synchronicities, right? So of course I had to tell you, I was literally just thinking about lucid dreaming, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I if I looked up, dreams about snakes, I wonder what those interpretations would be. And of course, there are a variety of different things that dreams about snakes can mean. And there are cultural implications too. For some cultures, a dream about a snake could be like a really positive thing or whatever. And it kind of hit me because I have shared with you before that I love symbolism, but I haven't quite been able to reconcile symbolism with actual dreams. And it so this morning I had the realization of what I don't understand. And I was able to put some language to it for myself. So I studied literature for my degree. So for 3 years, all I did in college, was sit around in a circle and discuss symbolism, basically analysis, interpretation. That's what we did. And you can know that something is a symbol and what that symbolism is, right? However, if you're dreaming, let's say you dream about a snake, A snake can have like, it can represent sexuality and things like that. But what if you have never, ever heard that a snake can represent sexuality? What if you do not know that?
Yep.
Is it possible for the snake to represent sexuality in your dream?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. Yeah, I don't know. That's tough. That's really tough. And like, even to that, okay. And then taking it even like, I don't know if it would be called a step further, but whatever, like, all right, let's say you discover that a snake can represent sexuality. Well, it also doesn't just have one meaning, like, oh, therefore it represents sexuality in this way, and this is what it means for your life. It's not like some sort of a premonition or some sort of a, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like, okay, so if it could represent this, and if it could represent this, and if it could represent this, and all these different things, let me just like tinker around with like, what am I dealing? Because like, I'll just say for my snake dream, oh my God. And I hate snakes. Like, I absolutely hate snakes. So this was like terrifying, but it was like, it was just, I definitely think it had something to do with,
we're going to make a reel and play that song. Put that audio to it.
Of course I have to make myself laugh. Like, I'm like this horrifying dream. And then I was like, oh, isn't that funny? Like, and I started singing like Baby Got Back, Anaconda. Oh my God, it's this whole thing. So anyway, but yeah, like that's how I guess that was sort of the way that I chose to interpret that, based on just a lot of the stuff I'd been processing in real life, right?
Yeah.
Like sexual blind spot stuff, right? Yeah. But maybe that's not really what it meant, you know, because like to your point, it could represent different things. So
yeah, right. And so, and I think that's, I guess what I'm actually saying is, at some point, I would like to get back to learning more about dreaming from like a scientific research, because I remember listening to I remember listening to a podcast with a researcher from a university. I think it was different. Maybe it was different from the one you were listening to today, or maybe not, because I don't think it was about consciousness and stuff. I think but I don't know. Like, I would have to go back and see if I could find it. But I remember it being very interesting. Of course, I have no memory retention, so I don't remember what he said, but I'm not sure if a symbolic interpretation of a dream matches up with the scientific research that people, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Me either. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Dreams are just, that's another topic again that I've just been like, wow, this is so fascinating and I would love to, but it just feels like it just keeps expanding and growing and it would just take so long. And, you know, kind of how I feel about like astrology, or I have gone further into human design, but even to that, you know, it's just like really, really cool. And so, yeah, we'll have to explore that a little more on our own, perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if anyone listening or watching happens to know a lot about dreams, especially the scientific side, I mean, any side is fine. Lucid dreaming, interpretations, symbolism, scientific research. We would like to know who you are.
Please reach out, again, email or DM. And we would, that would be so cool to like have somebody on that could kind of lead us through that, teach us and teach the listeners a little bit. And that'd be neat.
Well, here's something that has been on my mind. And this definitely relates to my introversion and how, you know, that shows up for me.
Okay.
So we have moved into this neighborhood that is, it's small. It's just one street. We do not have any neighbors on this side. Our neighbors down the other side of the street. We now have neighbors immediately next door. And there are some houses this way. Okay. So just FYI for everyone, the lots are very small. I can look my neighbor's house, was like right here.
Mhm.
And for the most part, this is all fine. It's not necessarily a big deal. However, I can even feel like my chest tightening up a little bit as I'm talking about this.
Oh, that's so interesting. And I'll just interject this super fast is like, it's fascinating to think about like where we lived in Kentucky. You lived in Kentucky. Now you're in Asheville, which is, a step up as far as cities go, like in a lot of ways.
Yes.
But I'm thinking of people who live in more crowded cities. And it's like, it's so interesting. The perspective is what I'm getting at. And people who would live in like, high rises and like these like like compact areas and
right.
like all of these sorts of things. And like, hearing about like a lot size and like, oh my gosh, I don't even have anything close to here. Anyway, it's just so fascinating. So I'm curious, like, folks who don't live in like a house with a yard, for instance.
Yeah.
What's their perception of like space? Or is it not as much of a thing? Is it more of a thing because of where we lived and how we get spoiled? Okay. We don't have to go down that route.
No, but that's all on my mind, because I was thinking this morning too, like I lived in DC. I lived in the middle of DC. I lived in it was an renovated house, and I don't even remember how many apartments were in it. Maybe it was just like upstairs and downstairs or something. I don't even remember, but I didn't have a yard. You walked out and you were on the sidewalk, and it was like row house, row house, row house. I mean, it was there was no space. I had no personal space there. Before that, I lived just outside of DC. Same thing. It was like a, historic house that was converted into apartments. I didn't have any space, rode the crowded metro to work, cramped in, like, and I was comfortable. I was fine. In fact, though, here's the thing. I think because it's so many people, it's like you can kind of hide.
Yeah.
However, this is like, there's the illusion of space.
Yeah.
But, I can look right out and I can see if my neighbor is walking into his house, and I can look next door and see if they're outside in the backyard, which there is like a small fence, but like, so there are a lot of things here that I could talk about. One is around getting back to like the introvert thing, the expectations. If I walk outside and I see you in your yard, am I obligated to talk to you just because you're there and I'm there?
Yeah. Well, that's
you don't feel obligated to pass by somebody in the grocery store and talk to them.
Right. Yeah. Oh man, I absolutely relate to this because this happened to me, like a very clear example yesterday. Our neighbor over here, she has been, I don't know exactly what's happened because I haven't like inquired enough, because I've been a little cocooning this past week, and she was taking her like back and forth on the sidewalk right here, right in front of my house, and so I wanted to go out for a walk. And there are certain days where I'm like, if I were to see her out doing that, I would just like pop out. And if I pass her, how are you? Like, oh, what's that? What are you wearing there? Did you, and I might engage. Whereas yesterday I was like, oh, I see her. Okay. I'm going to wait till she gets down to the stop sign down here, and then I'm going to go that way. Like, so yeah, mine kind of in general, I'm going to want to avoid people, but it kind of can be based on my mood and how much, speaking of space, how much internal space and capacity I have that day. So anyway, yeah, I definitely relate to the, just like, what is proper?
And it's like avoiding awkwardness. That's kind of part of it. Like kind of getting to your point about like, because I will do the same. In our old neighborhood, I saw somebody coming this way, I'd go the other way. So we didn't have to cross paths, especially because there, I was on a loop. Yes, so like if you're going, like, then you're going to see the same person multiple times. And then you got to like, hey, again, like it's so weird and awkward. It's like stupid, but then it's like that whole concept of being neighborly. If you don't speak, you're going to be perceived as rude. where for me, it's like, I'm not being rude. I just don't want to talk.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to talk.
You know
right
what
now.
I mean?
You know what else I'm thinking of is like, I wonder if this is, and I don't know this, we would have to ask other people of different like, Enneagram dominant instincts and things like that. But like the social instinct dominance, it's just so front and center. And it's so like, I can't not be aware of that realm.
Yeah. Right. And there are people out there, remarkably, I can't imagine. There are people out there who would never even consider it. They would not think those steps ahead. Oh, there is this person. Oh, I'm going to encounter this person. Oh, what am I going to have to do when I encounter this person? Then how am I going to feel after the encounter?
Yes. Yes. I know I'm thinking of a person clearly in my mind who fits that bill, that doesn't think those things. And it's mind boggling for sure.
Yeah, it's very mind boggling. But I mean, the impact to like what I'm describing with this neighborhood, it's like, it's small. So there aren't that many people and we're kind of close together. And I feel on display, which makes me deeply, deeply uncomfortable because I can be outgoing and I can be very open, but I want to have the option of privacy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm making this sound far worse than it is. It's not like I have people lined up, like staring in my windows. That's not happening. I realize I'm not really under a microscope.
If I live there, that's what I would be doing. That would be top of list for me.
I think you would be inside.
I would definitely be inside. All the way inside.
Oh my God. Yes.
I'm sorry. I have to. I'm happy. Yeah, I think you're brightening my day. I think this is good.
It's not the first time you've said that to me, Emma.
I know. I say that often. Okay. All right. Go on with people. Yeah. It's not like people are lining up.
Right. It's like the way I'm describing it is making it sound far worse than it really is, but it's my feeling about it. I feel, but what I have thought is like, first of all, I know I'll get used to it. It's just because it's kind of new. And then getting comfortable with, how can I articulate this? Getting more comfortable with the fact that I may have to speak to someone, even if I'm not really prepared to speak to them. And being comfortable, if I only feel like saying hi, that's all I say. And it's okay. And I don't have to care how they interpret that if they're expecting me to say more. And also realizing probably nobody else has any expectations. I'm just putting this all on myself.
Yeah, exactly. And there's that, that phrase that like, what other people think about you is really none of your business. I struggle with that concept immensely. I'm like, it feels like it's my business. I would really like to know. And if they're not going to be open and communicate that to me, I'm going to go ahead and try to mind read and figure out what this is. I've also discovered I can't mind read, which is really devastating.
It is very devastating.
It's a blow to the ego.
I was sure that was one of my superpowers.
Yes. Yeah. I'm wondering if that is something I would choose. We don't have to get off on superpowers, but I'm just thinking about different things. What would I choose for my superpower? So anyway, okay. So,
but it's like, like this concept of space and how much space do we really need? And how much of that is like, I'm thinking in terms of, I'm thinking in a lot of terms, actually. I was going to say physical space, but also, is it kind of a construct? A little bit.
Yeah. You want to say more about that, or?
I'm trying to figure out if I can. I'm not sure. It feels too nebulous at the moment. I think I need to think about that a little bit more. But, can I like create my own bubble somehow that feels safer, even though I'm not actually physically changing anything? And what would that feel like and look like? And what does that even mean? I don't know. Like, I don't even know exactly what I mean by that, but
yeah, I guess I think I'm just like thinking like boundaries around things, like, and I've said before, like, I feel like my boundaries out here can be kind of like loose and diffuse. And I guess kind of likened that more to the social instinct, actually, just like the awareness factor of like, it feels like, because I'm so aware of that as like a social six, you as well, obviously, like it feels like an intrusion, like it's all, people are always in my space. So therefore, I wonder if on some level to combat that, I have like, say, maybe put a lot of boundary or given myself space around like my heart or, different things like that. Like, okay, fine. Like if all these people have to be here, but then but they can't all be here. So I have to like guard here. So I don't know, just thinking about all of that. And like, as you talk about, physical space. And so then I think like, okay, but yeah, like, kind of in a therapeutic or coaching sense or something like that, like holding space, you hear that concept all of the time. And what does that mean? Or safe spaces?
Safe space.
How do you cultivate that? Like, can you cultivate that? What is that about? Like, that feels like we could definitely get into that at some point.
Yeah. I feel like this could be really big, probably multiple episodes. Because now I'm definitely going down that path too of like safe space. And what does that feel like? It feels like absolute relaxation and completely, there's no like self-consciousness. And it's just like, you're actually the only person. Like that would be a great coach who could make you feel that way. Like, not that you're the only person and they're not present, but like, it feels so like,
it goes back to maybe that concept of like being held or something a little bit. Like it's just that,
yes, like a warm hug.
Oh yeah. That makes me kind of emotional. Yeah. I've really been thinking a lot about this lately. So, yeah, we'll have to get into that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I feel like, we could go a lot of directions and spend a lot of time with this topic. So maybe we will get into that.
Yeah.
In the near future.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, this is an interesting social experiment for me. Let me put it in those terms. A very interesting social experiment. And what can I learn about myself even? And what can I learn about, what it means to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, things like that.
Absolutely. I know. And yeah, how much will you settle in, so to speak, or how much will you adapt, or how dependent is it on, I don't know, just like there's so many factors involved. And it's super, super interesting to me. And I agree. Like it definitely pulls my mind to want to talk about like introversion and extroversion and all those sorts of things, which we have discussed before, but like, it does. It feels like a really big concept, this idea of like space.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's note that down. Let's put that on our list. Okay. We'll get into this more later because I think it's a big deal for both of us. How does that feel, Emma?
Feels amazing.
Just had to make sure.
Yeah. I know. You always like think about my pleasure and how I feel, which is why I appreciate.
That's right.
You always make me feel coveted, Lisa.
Highly adored.
Yeah, thank you.
We've had some interesting things come up today, so we'll have plenty more to explore. And again, we need to know about your dreams. Oh, also if you've had any like really crazy or interesting dreams or like whatever, you can share.
Yeah, feel free to share your dreams. Although
especially if they were about us.
If we've been in your dreams, please holler. That would be really funny. Or maybe
probably a nightmare.
I know. I was like, or maybe
they won't stop talking.
Yeah, I know. He's like, no shit. Yeah,
they will not stay on topic.
Yeah. I was just just getting more and more frustrated the more the dream went on. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So, yeah, we'd like to hear that. We'd love to hear from our listeners for sure. So we're gonna, we've been a little sporadic with like the recording and things like that. I mean, we're trying to keep it consistent as much as we can, but at least we have a fresh episode to put out this week. And
that's right.
That feels really good.
Yeah, it does. I know it helps with when the kids are in school.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, yeah.
All right, cool.
We'll get it together.
All right. Well, this was great. Great little chat. Thanks for being you.
Yes. Same to you.
Okay.
Thank you for making this a safe space.
Oh, you too.
All right.
Okay. All right, cool. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hey, let's get
Thanks for hanging with us through today's tangents. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back again soon, but meanwhile, you can follow along with us on Instagram at No Tangents. We would love it if you would subscribe and maybe even consider leaving us a review, a highly complimentary one.
Keep it going, no, don't stop it. Don't get the picture, then we crap it. With no emotion, what's the logic? We just lost in our thoughts.